Hello YouTube. Sorry this recording is late. I skipped all over the juicy goss. I'm sorry. But you do get the reading. Sorry YouTube, you don't get to know the juicy goss. You have to come to Twitch for that right now. That was all the idea. Part of the inspiration was African Wild Dog, aka the Painted Hound, so outside was already going to be chaos. But last time on Dragon Ball Z, Lucy was experiencing vampirism, but badly. And so she's been tended to by Dr. Seward and Dr. Van Helsing, who is a bit of a character, more so than I thought he would be, for someone who is a vaunted vampire slayer across all media. So, and also Dr. Seward was doing things again. And Mina got married to Jonathan, who is not in his right mind. Anyways, let us continue. Chapter 11, Lucy Westerner's Diary. 12th of September. Oh, how good they all are to me. I quite love that dear Dr. Van Helsing. I wonder why he was so anxious about these flowers. He positively frightened me. He was so fierce. Yet he must have been right, for I feel comfort from them already. Somehow I do not dread being alone tonight. I can go to sleep without fear. I shall not mind any flapping outside the window. Oh, the terrible struggle that I have had against sleep so often of late. The pain of the sleeplessness, or the pain of the fear of sleep, with such unknown horrors as it has for me. How blessed are some people whose lives have no fears, no dreads, to whom sleep is a blessing when that comes nightly, brings nothing but sweet dreams. Well, here I am tonight, hoping for sleep, and lying like Ophelia in the play, with virgin crants and maiden struments. I never liked garlic before, but tonight is delightful. There is peace in its smell. I can feel sleep coming already. Good night, everybody. Dr. Seward's diary. Again, back to this, man. 13th of September. Called at Berkeley and found Van Helsing as usual up to time. The carriage ordered from the hotel was waiting. Professor took his bag, which he always brings with him now. Let it all be put down exactly. Van Helsing and I arrived at Hillingham at 8 o'clock. It was a lovely morning. The bright sunshine and all the fresh feeling of early autumn seemed like a completion of nature's annual work. Leaves are turning all kinds of beautiful colors, but not had yet begun to drop from the trees. When we entered, we met Mrs. Westerner coming out of the morning room. She is always an early riser. She greeted us warmly and said, "You will be glad to know that Lucy is better. The dear child is still asleep. I looked into her room and saw her, but did not go in, lest I should disturb her." The professor smiled and looked quite jubilant. He rubbed his hands together and said, "Aha! I thought I had diagnosed the case. My treatment is working." To which she answered, "You must not take all the credit to yourself, Doctor. Lucy's state this morning is due in part to me." "How do you mean, ma'am?" asked the professor. "I was anxious about the dear child and I went into her room. She was sleeping soundly, so soundly that even my coming did not wake her. The room was awfully stuffy. There were a lot of those horrible, strong-smelling flowers about everywhere. She actually had a bunch of them around her neck. I feared that the heavy odor would be too much for the dear child in her weak state. So I took them all away and opened a bit of the window to let in a little fresh air. You'll be pleased with her, I am sure." You know what? Maybe your death can't come soon enough, Mrs. Westerner. All she missed was putting out the landing lights. Dracula, land here. She moved off to the parlor where she usually breakfasted early. As she had spoken, I watched the professor's face. His thought turned ashen gray. He had been able to retain his self-command whilst the poor lady was present, for he knew her state and how mischievous a shock would be. I actually smiled on her as he held open the door for her to pass into her room. The instant she had disappeared, he pulled me, suddenly and forcibly, into the dining room and closed the door. I forgot something before I started reading. Give me 1 second. I forgot a terribly important thing, at least to me. Where is the book? There we go. Hehe. Yeah, girl, all you were missing was the plane landing. Girl, all you missed was, like, putting down the fucking landing strip. Then for the first time in my life, I saw Van Helsing break down. He raised his hands over his head in a sort of mute despair, then beat his palms together in a helpless way. Finally, he sat down in a chair, putting his hands before his face. He began to sob, with loud, dry sobs that seemed to come from the very racking of his heart. Then he raised his arms again, as though appealing to the whole universe. God, 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 he said. What have we done what has this poor thing done, that we are so sore beset? Is there fate among us still, sent down from the pagan world of old, that such things must be, and in such a way, this poor mother, all unknowing, and all for the best as she thinks, does such thing as loose her daughter, body and soul. And we must not tell her, we must not even warn her, or she die, and then both die. Oh, how we are beset. How are all the powers of the devils against us? Suddenly he jumped to his feet. Come, he said. Come, we must see and act. Devils or no devils, all the devils at once, it matters not. We fight him all the same. We went up the hall door for his bag, and together we went up to Lucy's room. Once again I drew up the blind, whilst Van Helsing went towards the bed. This time he did not start as he looked on the poor face with the same awful waxen pallor as before. He wore a look of stern sadness and infinite pity. As I expected, he murmured, with that hissing inspiration of his which meant so much. Without a word, he went and locked the door and began to set on the little table the instruments for yet another operation of transfusion of blood. I long ago recognized the necessity, began to take off my coat, but he stopped me with a warning hand. No! Today you must operate. I shall provide. You are weakened already. As he spoke, he took off his coat and rolled up his shirt sleeve. Again the operation, again the narcotic, again some sort of return of color to the ashy cheeks, irregular breathing of healthy sleep. This time, I watched while Van Helsing recruited himself and rested. Presently, he took an opportunity of telling Mrs. Western that she must not remove anything from Lucy's room without consulting him, that the flowers were of medicinal value, that the breathing of their odor was a part of the system of cure. Then he took over the care of the case himself, saying that he would watch this night and the next, and would send word when to come. After another hour, Lucy waked from her sleep, fresh and bright and seemingly not much worse for her terrible ordeal. What does it all mean? I'm beginning to wonder if my long habit of life amongst the insane is beginning to tell upon my own brain. Am I the insane one amongst the inmates? Well, sir, I'm not sure if you can be fully mentally capable. To be fair, I think being a doctor breaks you down somewhere already, cause have y'all seen what doctors have to do in order to like just pass medical school? none of those people are completely sane. And there is a bit of... I don't want to say you have to become a little bit of a sociopath to be a doctor, but there's like signs. There's like there is some coldness you have to like endure you have to prepare yourself with for that kind of job. But continuing on. Lucio Sterner's diary, 17th of September. 4 days and nights of peace. I'm getting so strong that I hardly know myself. It's as if I had passed through some long nightmare. I had awakened to see the beautiful sunshine and feel the fresh air of the morning around me. I have a dim half-remembrance of long, anxious times of waiting and fearing. Darkness in which there is not even the pain of hope to make present distress more poignant. Then long spells of oblivion, the rising back to life as a diver coming up through a great press of water. Since, however, Dr. Van Helsing has been with me, all this bad dreaming seems to have passed away. The noises that used to frighten me on my wits, the flapping against the windows, the distant voices which seemed so close to me, the harsh sounds that came from I not know where, command me to do I know not what, have all ceased. I go to bed now without any fear of sleep. I do not even try to keep awake. I've grown quite fond of the garlic, and a box full arrives every day from Harlem. Tonight Dr. Van Helsing is going away. It has to be for a day in Amsterdam. But I need not be watched. I am well enough to be left alone. Thank God for Mother's sick and dear authors, and for all our friends who have been so kind. I shall not even feel the change, for last night Dr. Van Helsing slept in his chair a lot of the time. I found him asleep twice when I awoke, but I fear not go to sleep again, although the bowels or bats or something napped almost angrily against the window panes. The Pall Mall Gazette, 18th of September. The Escaped Wolf. Perilous adventure of our interviewer. Interview with the keeper in the zoological gardens. That's why there's an important rule in fiction. Don't piss off doctors. They know how to put you back together. They also know how to take you apart. True that. Corollary. Never anger one who studied toxicology. It's like, yes, who is behind the murders? The pharmacologist. And seriously, you just don't make the people who have, like, made themselves cold to death because they protect life pissed off, you know? You don't piss off the ones who have made themselves emotionally numb so they can protect life. You know? How did the pole vaulters get up to our balcony? Who knows? To be fair, if they're pole vaulters, didn't that mean they just pole vaulted up to the balcony? Okay, but on to the Pall Mall Gazette of 18th of September. After many inquiries and almost as many refusals, and perpetually using the words Pall Mall Gazette as a sort of talisman, I managed to find the keeper of the section of the Zoological Gardens, in which the wolf department is included. Thomas Builder lives in one of the cottages in the enclosure behind the elephant house. Just sitting down to his tea when I found him. Thomas and his wife are hospitable folk, elderly, and without children. From the specimen I enjoyed of their hospitality of the average kind, their lives must be pretty comfortable. The keeper would not enter on what he called business until supper was over. We were all satisfied. Then, when the table was cleared and he had lit his pipe, he said, "Now, sir, you can go on and ask me what you want. You'll excuse me for refusing to talk about the professional subjects of 4 meals. I give the wolves and the jackals and the hyenas all
in all our section their tea before I begin to ask them questions. I'm sorry if I think this is supposed to be an Irish accent. I think this is supposed to be an Irish accent, but it sounded Welsh. I'm sorry if I sound Welsh. It's all, fucking, Lily and Maris's fault. How do you mean ask them questions? I queried, wishful to get him into a talkative humor. In of them over there, read with the pole and way. Scratching of their ears is another. Then the gents as is flush want bit of a show off for to their gals. I don't so much mind the fuss. The eatin' with a pole before I chucks in their dinner. But I wait till they've had their sharing coffee, so to speak. Afore I tries on with the ear scratching, mind you, he added philosophically. There's a deal of the same nature in us as in them there animals. Here's a you a comin' and arskin' me of questions about my business. And that I grumpy like, that only I, and I that grumpy like, that only for your bloomin' arf cred. I'd a seen you blowed first before I answer. Now when you ask me sarcastic like if I like you to ask the superintendent if you ask me some questions. Ask me some questions. The accent is dropping. Without offense, did I tell you to go to hell? You did. Maybe the accent won't go. Hold on. And when you said you would report me for using some of obscene language that was hitting me over the head, but the AF cred, you know what? I'm going to let the ad break happen because my mouth and vowels. But we are hitting ad break. Yeah, my mouth and Welsh. My mouth and Irish. And my Irish is sounding Welsh. These weird old words. Yup. So I shall check messages. But yeah, the Dracula is like really, really tough on the mouth. Unlike a lot of things for my mouth. If anyone wants me to do anything, they get to hear me stretch my accent work. I need to get more accent work. I need to do I kinda wanna do some voice training, but you guys keep complimenting my voice, and I'm like, I don't want to do voice training no more, but there's still a part of me that's like, hey, don't you want your voice to be a little deeper? Don't you want your voice to sound a little deeper? Okay, the ads have officially started. I'm going to go get myself some more water. I'll be RB. I'm now trying to imagine Vesper with a deeper voice, and my mind is like, no. I'm glad you like my... Is my voice technically high-pitched? I guess it's high-pitched. High-mid. Me saying hello to Final Fantasy 13. That might get people typing passwords in chat again. I think all I need to do is the, hold up. I guess this one can be for free. Nope. That one didn't have much effort to it because it was free. And it was because of the artwork right before the BRB ended. Okay, let me... Hey, $5 is $5. Okay, but everyone back from breaky. Also, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for the hype train and just, you know, staying here with me. I like that everyone just wants to listen to me read an old book that we know the ending of, probably. We know Dracula's a vampire. We know Dracula's a vampire at this point. Okay, I'm back to this old weird ass sounding language. Hold up. And when you said you would report me for using of obscene language that's hitting me over the head, the ARF grid made all that right. I want to go into fight. So I wait for the food and deal with my owl with the wolves and lions and tigers does. But Lord, I love your art. And now that the little human has stuck a chunk of her tea cake in me and rinsed me out with her blooming old teapot, I've lit up. You may scratch my ears for all you're worth, and won't get even a growl of me. Drive along with your question. I know what you're coming at. That ear-escaped wolf. Ugh. At least I knew what accent it was when I was reading it. Exactly. I want you to give me your view of it. Just tell me how it happened. And when I know the facts, I'll get you to say what you consider was the cause of it. How you think the whole affair will end. You know what, I'm just gonna read this in a normal fucking voice, cause fuck this shit. Alright, Governor. This here is the whole story. That there wolf, what we call Berserker, was one of the 3 grey ones that come from Norway to Jamrax, which we bought off him 4 years ago. He was a nice, well-behaved wolf that never gave no trouble to talk of. I'm more surprised at him for wanting to get out nor any other animal in the place. And there you can't exactly trust wolves no more nor women. Don't you mind him, sir, broke in Mrs. Tom with a cheery laugh. He's got minding the animals so long he's that blessed if he ain't like an old wolf himself. But there ain't no harm in him. Well, sir, it's about 2 hours after feeding yesterday I hear my disturbance. I was making up a litter in the monkey house for the young puma which is ill. When I heard the yelping and howling, I came straight away. There was Berserker tearing like a mad thing at the bars as if he wanted to get out. There wasn't much people about that day. Close at hand was only one man, a tall, thin chap with a hooked nose and a pointed beard, a few white hairs running through it. He had a hard, cold look in his red eyes. Hold on, let me repeat that. He had a hard, cold look and red eyes. I took a sort of mislike to him, for it seemed it was him that they were irritated at. He had white kid gloves on his hands. He pointed out the animals to me and says, "Keeper, these wolves seem to be upset at something." "Maybe it's you," says I, for I did not like the airs he gave himself. He didn't get angry, as I hoped he would, but he smiled a kind of insolent smile with a mouth full of white, sharp teeth. "Oh no, they were... Oh no. Oh, hold on, the accents are merging. Oh no, they wouldn't like me," he says. "Oh yes, they would," I says, imitating of him. "They always like a bone or two before to clean their teeth on about tea time, which you has a bag full." Well, it was an odd thing, but when the animals see us talking, they lay down. And over to Berserker, he let me stroke his ears, same as ever. That there man came over, and blessed it, but if he didn't put his hand and stroke the old wolf's ears too. "Take care," says Berserker is quick. "Never mind," he says. "I'm used to him." "Are ye in the business yourself?" I says, taking off my hat. For a man what trades in wolves, is a good friend to keepers. "No," says he. "Not exactly in the business, but I have made pets of several." And with that, he lifts his as a perlite as a lord and walks away. Oh, and with that, he lifts his hat as perlite as a lord and walks away. Oh, Berserker kept looking at him until he was out of sight. Then went and lay down in a corner and wouldn't come out the whole evening. But last night, as soon as the moon was up, the wolves here all came howling. There weren't nothing for them to howl at. Weren't no one near except for someone that was evidently calling a dog somewheres out back in the gardens of the park road. Once or twice I went to see that all was right. And it was, and that the howling stopped. And then the howling stopped. Just before 12 o'clock, I took a look round before turning in. But bust me. But when I came up to old Berserker's cage, I see the rails broken and twisted and the cage empty. And that's all I know for certain. Did anyone else see anything? One of our gardeners was coming home that time from our harmony, when he sees big old gray dog coming through the garden edges. At least, so he says, but I don't give much for it myself, for if he did, he never said a word about it coming up to his missus when he got home. It was only after the escape of the wolf was made known. He'd been up all night a hunting of the park for Berserker. I remember seeing anything. My own belief was that the harmony had got into his head. Now, Mr. Bill, can you account anyway for the escape of the wolf? Well, sir, he said with a suspicious sort of modesty, I think I can. But I don't know how you'd be satisfied with the theory. Certainly I shall, if a man like you, who knows animals from experience, can't hazard a good guess anyway. Who is to even try? Hello? Nick. Ellen, sir, I account for it this way. It seems to me that the wolf escaped simply because he wanted to get out. In the hurry way that both Thomas and his wife laughed at the joke. He had done service before, but the whole explanation was simply an elaborate sell. Couldn't cope in badinage with the worthy Thomas. I thought I knew a surer way to his heart, so I said, Now, Mr. Bill, we'll consider the first half solvent worked off. This brother of his is waiting to be claimed when you told me what you think will happen. Yeah, you are, sir, he said briskly. You'll excuse me, I know, for a chafing of ye. But the old woman here winked at me, just as much as telling as me to go on. Well, I never, said the old lady. Oh yeah, I think, there is forms of lore where werewolves are just, vampires, and there is multiple, takes on werewolves that put them into undead. However, I think it's just about as many though that puts them into I don't want to say guardians of nature, or I think it's about half and half where werewolves are either undead or they are nature related. I don't want to say they're a specific part of nature, but usually it's about 50-50. I don't know, I'll say it's about probably like 40 undead, 40 nature, and 20% hideous creation against the works of the gods. Though that might fall undead, so maybe it depends. I'd say it's about 40% undead, 40% nature, and then 20% miscellany. If I remember correctly, what the video watch said correctly, she said that Dracula is kind of the point of divergence, yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of vampire lore before Dracula, and then Dracula was kind of the divergence. Where we began getting, like, a whole bunch of stuff happening. Because I don't remember, I think in Carmilla, Carmilla wasn't able to charm animals. However, don't think animals were a big part of that. My opinion is this. That there wolf is a hiding somewheres. The gardener won't remember what he said as he was galloping northward faster than a horse could go. But I don't believe him. For you see, wolves don't gallop no more than dogs do. They're not being built that way. Wolves is fine things in a storybook, and I dare say, when they get in packs, and does be chivying something that's more feared than they can make a devil of a noise and chop it up. Whatever it is. The Lord bless you. In real life, a wolf is only a low creature. Not half so clever or bold as a good dog. Not half as core as so much as fighting them. This one ain't been used to fighting or even providing for himself. He's more like he's somewhere around the park hiding and shivering of. And if he thinks at all, wondering where he is to get his breakfast from. He's got down some area and is in a coal cellar. My eye won't some cook get a rum start when he sees his green eyes a shining at her out of the dark. If he can't get food, he's bound to look for it. Mayhap he may chance upon a butcher's shop in time. If he doesn't, and some nursemaid gives a walking of a soldier, leaving out the infant in the perambulator. Well, I shouldn't be surprised if the census is one baby the less. That's all. I was handing him the half-sovereign when something came bobbing up against the window. Mr. Biller's face doubled its natural length with surprise. God bless me, he said. If that ain't If there ain't old Berserker come back by himself. He went to the door and opened it. A most unnecessary proceeding, it seemed to me. I've always thought that a wild animal never looks so well when some obstacle pronounced durability between us. Personal experience has intensified rather than diminished that idea. After all, there is nothing like custom, for neither builder nor his wife thought any more of the wolf than I should of a dog. The animal itself was peaceful and well behaved as that father of all picture wolves, Red Riding Hood's quondam friend, whilst moving her confidence in masquerade. The whole scene was an unmutterable mixture of comedy and pathos. The wicked wolf that for half a day had paralyzed London and set all children in the town shivering in their shoes was there in a sort of penitent mood, and was received and petted like a sort of vulpine prodigal son. Old Bill examined him all over with the most tender solicitude, and finished with his penitent, said, "There, I knew the poor old chap would get into some kind of trouble. Didn't I say all along? Here's his head all cut and full of broken glass. He's been getting over some bloomin' wall or another. It's a shame that people are allowed to top their walls with broken bottles. This here's what comes of it. Come along, Berserker." Took the wolf and locked him up in a cage with a piece of meat that satisfied, in quantity at any rate, the elementary conditions of the fatted calf, and went off to report. I came off too, to report only exclusive information that is given today regarding the strange escapade at the zoo. That's going to be important later. Dr. Seward's Diary, the 17th of September. I was engaged after dinner in my study, posting up my books, which through press of other work and many visits Lucy had fallen sadly into arrear. Suddenly the doors burst open and in rushed my patient, with his face distorted with passion. I was thunderstruck, for such a thing as a patient getting of his own accord into the superintendent's study is almost unknown. Without an instant pause, he made straight at me. He had a dinner knife in his hand, and as I saw he was dangerous, I tried to keep the table between us. He was too quick and too strong for me, however, for before I could get my balance, he had struck at me and cut my left wrist rather severely. Before he could strike again, however, I got my right, and he was sprawling on his back on the floor. My wrist bled freely, and quite a little pool trickled onto the carpet. I saw that my friend was not intent on further effort, occupied myself binding up my wrist, keeping a wary eye on the prostrate figure all the same. When the attendants rushed in and returned our attention to him, his employment positively sickened me. He was lying on his belly on the floor, licking up like a dog the blood which had fallen from my wounded wrist. He was easily secured, and to my surprise, went with the attendants quite placidly, simply repeating over and over again, "Blood is life. Blood is life." I cannot afford to lose blood at the present. I have lost too much as of late for my physical good, and the prolonged strain of Lucy's illness and its horrible phases is telling on me. I am overexcited and weary, and I need rest, rest, rest. Happily, Van Helsing has not summoned me, so I need not forego my sleep. Tonight, I cannot well do without it. Telegram, Van Helsing, Antwerp, to Seward, Carfax. Sent to Carfax, Sussex. Has no county given. Delivered late by 22 hours. 17th of September. Do not fail to be at Hillingham tonight. If not watching all the time frequently, visit and see that the flowers are placed. Very important. Do not fail. Shall be with you as soon as possible after arrival. Dr. Seward's Diary. 18th of September. Just off the train to London. The arrival of Van Helsing's telegram filled me with dismay. A whole night lost. I know by bitter experience what may happen in a night. Of course, it is possible that all may be well, but what may have happened? Surely there is some horrible doom hanging over us, that every possible accident should thwart us in all we try to do. I shall take this cylinder with me, and then I can complete my entry on Lucy's phonograph. Memorandum left by Lucy Listerna. 17th of September, night. I write this and leave it to be seen, so that no one may by any chance get into trouble through me. This is an exact record of what took place tonight. I feel I am dying of weakness, and have barely the strength to write, but it must be done if I die in the doing. Went to bed as usual, taking care the flowers were placed as Dr. Van Helsing directed, and soon fell asleep. I was waked by the flapping at the window, which had begun after that sleepwalking on the cliff at Whitby when Mina saved me. And now I know so well. I was not afraid, but I did not wish that Dr. Seward was in the next room. But I did wish that Dr. Seward was in the next room, as Dr. Van Helsing said he would be, so that I might have called him. I tried to go to sleep, but I could not. Then there came to me the old fear of sleep, and I determined to keep awake. Perversely, sleep would try to come when I did not want it. As I feared to be alone, I opened my door and called out, "Is there anybody there?" There was no answer, but I was afraid to wake Mother, so I closed my door again. Then outside in the shrubbery I heard a sort of howl like a dog's, but fierce and deeper. I went to the window and looked out, but could see nothing except a big bat, which had evidently been buffeting its wings against the window. So I went back to bed again, but determined not to go to sleep. Presently the door opened, and Mother looked in. Seeing my moving that I was not asleep, came in, and sat by me. She said to me even more sweetly and softly than her wont, "I was uneasy about you, darling. Came in to see that you were all right." I feared she might catch cold sitting there, and asked her to come in and sleep with me, so she came into bed, lay down beside me. She did not take off her dressing gown, for she said she would only stay a while and then go back to her own bed. As she lay there in my arms, and I in hers, the flapping and buffeting came to the window again. She was startled and a little frightened, and cried out, "What is that?" I tried to pacify her, and I succeeded, and she lay quiet. I could hear her poor dear heart still beating terribly. After a while there was a low howl again in the shrubbery. Shortly after there was a crash at the window, and a lot of broken glass was hurled on the floor. The window blew black with the wind that rushed in, and in the aperture of the broken panes there was the head of a great, gaunt, grey wolf. Mother cried out in the night and struggled up into a sitting posture, and clutched wildly at anything that could help her. Amongst other things, she clutched the wreath of flowers that Dr. Van Helsing insisted on my wearing around my neck, and tore it away from me. For a second or two she sat up, pointing at the wolf. There was a strange and horrible gurgling in her throat, and then she fell over, as if struck with lightning, and her hand hit my forehead and made me dizzy for a moment or two. The room and all around seemed to spin around. I kept my eyes fixed on the window. The wolf drew his head back, and a whole myriad of little specks seemed to come blowing in through the broken window, the wheeling and suckling around like the pillar of dust that travelers describe when there is a simoon in the desert. I tried to stir, but there was some spell upon me, and dear Mother's poor body, which seemed to grow cold already, for her dear heart had ceased to beat, weighed me down, and I remembered no more for a while. The time did not seem long, but very, very awful, till I recovered consciousness again. Somewhere near, a passing bell was tolling. Dogs all around the neighborhood were howling, and in our shrubbery, just seemingly outside, a nightingale was singing. I was dazed and stupid with pain and terror weakness. The sound of the nightingale seemed like the voice of my dead mother came back to comfort me. The sound seemed to have wakened the maids too. I could hear their bare feet pattering outside my door. I called to them, and they came in, and they saw what happened. And what it was that lay over me on the bed, they screamed out. The wind rushed through the broken window, and the door slammed to. They lifted off the body of my dear mother, and laid her, covered up with a sheet, on the bed after I got up. They were all so frightened and nervous that I directed them to go to the dining room and have each glass of wine. The door flew open for an instant and closed again. The maid shrieked, and then went in, and then went in, hold on. Then went in a body to the dining room, and I lay wet flowers I had on my dear mother's breasts. And they were there. I remember what Dr. Van Helsing had told me. But I didn't like to remove them. And besides, I have some of the servants sit up with me now. I was surprised that the maids did not come back. I called them but got no answer, so I went to the dining room to look for them. My heart sank when I saw what happened. They all four lay helpless on the floor, breathing heavily. The decanter of sherry was on the table half full. There was a queer, acrid smell about. I was suspicious and examined the decanter. It smelled of laudanum. Looking on the sideboard, I found the ball which Mother's doctor uses for her. Oh, did use. Was empty. What am I to do? What am I to do? I am back in the room with Mother. I cannot leave her. And I am alone, safe for the sleeping servants, whom someone has drugged. Alone with the dead. I dare not go out, for I can hear the low howl of the wolf through the broken window. The air seems full of specks, floating and circling in the draught from the window. The light burns blue, and the lights burn blue and dim. What am I to do? God shield me from harm this night. I shall hide this paper in my breast, for they shall find it when they come to lay me out. My dear mother gone. It is time I go too. Goodbye, dear Arthur. If I shall not survive this night, God keep you, dear, and God help me. Damn, Lucy trying her best out here. End of chapter 11, by the way. God damn, Lucy trying her best out here. Her mother is... I mean, for real, like... Her mother has kind of had it coming for a bit, but... I don't want to be like, oh damn, you too stupid to survive. Like, girl, like, woman, you asked for, like, for 2 doctors to help your child. And then you see things in your child's room that have been changed. The only people who could change them was the doctors. And you go and like, you know what, this room's too stuffy. This room's too stuffy. Everything smells like garlic. Did we say the same thing about Jonathan in the first few chapters? Too stupid to live. I do feel bad for Lucy, yes. Mother was asking for it, but you have to have her die right in front of... Yeah. Dracula is just putting salt into the teeth wounds. Dracula just putting salt into the teeth wounds. So, like, oh my god. Yeah. I feel like... It's kind of like we're learning about Dracula as a main character through everything that is happening. Yeah, and Jonathan was high intellect, low wisdom. Lucy is high charisma. Lucy's high charisma, but low stats and everything else. Lucy is a sorcerer with bad rolls. Dramatic summarization of Dracula that I watched referred to him as once as Jonathan, what are warning signs are? Thank God Mina's there for him. I'm not sure if this man could survive without Mina. I mean, he almost didn't, to be clear. To be fair, Jonathan was out on his own in a country. not seeing the warning signs. And now, fortunately, Mina's there. Thank you, Mina, for keeping this man alive now. Mina, thank you for keeping this man alive. Lucy's just kind of Lucy's 100% victim though. Lucy is just she just was having anxiety and then her ass got bit. Lucy was sleepwalking due to anxiety and then her ass got bit. And she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's like, ah, yes, the Demeter. The Demeter crashes here and then Lucy gets bit. Lucy is danger-prone Daphne, basically. It's kind of like a POV story where we switch all these POVs, and Dracula is the main character. But on to chapter 2. I mean, not 2, 12. My bad. Chapter 12, Dr. Seward's Diary. And now we get to know what happened to Lucy. 18th of September. I drove at once to Hillingham and arrived early. Keeping my cab at the gate, I went up to the avenue alone. I knocked gently and rang as quietly as possible, for I feared to disturb Lucy or her mother. Hoped to only bring a servant to the door. After a while, finding no response, I knocked and rang again. Still no answer. I cursed the laziness of the servants that they should lie abed at such an hour, for it was now 10 o'clock. And so rang and knocked again, but more impatiently, but still without response. Hitherto I had blamed only the servants, but now a terrible fear began to assail me. Was this desolation but another link in the chain of doom, which seemed to be drawing tight around us? It's indeed a house of death which I had come too late. Knew that minutes, even seconds of delay, might mean hours of danger to Lucy. She had again one of those frightful relapses. I ran around the house to try if I could find a chance an entry anywhere. I could find no means of ingress. Every window and door was fast and unlocked. I turned baffled to the porch. As I did so, I heard the rapid pit-pat of a swiftly driven horse's feet. They stopped at the gate, and a few seconds later I met Van Helsing running up to the avenue. When he saw me, he gasped out, "There is you! And just arrived. How is she? Are we too late? Did you not get my telegram?" I answered as quickly and coherently as I could. I only got his telegram early in the morning. I had not lost a minute in coming here. And I could not make anyone in the house hear me. He paused and raised his hat as he said solemnly, "Then I fear we are too late. God's will be done." With his usual recuperative energy, he went on, "Come. If there is no way to open to get in, we must make one. Time is all in all to us now." We ran back to the house where there was a kitchen window. Professor took a small surgical saw from his case. Handing it to me, he pointed to the iron bars which guarded the window. I attacked them at once, and soon cut through 3 of them. Then with a long, thin knife, we pushed back the fastening of the sashes and opened the window. Here I helped the professor in, and followed him. There was no one in the kitchen or the servants' rooms, which were close at hand. We tried all the rooms as we went along, and in the dining room, dimly lit by rays of light through the shutters, found 4 servant women lying on the floor. There was no need to think them dead, for their stertorous breathing and the acrid smell of laudanum in the room left no doubt as to their condition. Van Helsing and I looked at each other. As he moved away, he said, "I can attend to them later." Then we ascended to Lucy's room. For an instant or two, we paused at the door to listen, but there was no sound that we could hear. With white faces and trembling hands, we opened the door gently to the room. Oh, how shall I describe what I saw? On the bed lay 2 women, Lucy and her mother. The latter lay farthest in, and she was covered with a white sheet, the edge of which had been blown back by the draught through the broken window, showing the drawn, white face, the look of terror fixed upon it. By her side lay Lucy, with face white and still more drawn. Flowers which had been round her neck were now found upon her mother's bosom. Her throat was bare, showing 2 little white wounds which we had noticed before, but looking horribly white and mangled. Thitherward the professor bent over the bed, his head almost touching Lucy's breast. He gave a quick turn of his head, as of one who listens, and leaping to his feet, he cried to me, "It is not yet too late. Quick, quick, bring the brandy."
Thank you for the care package. I shall stretch.
I heard brandy.
Brandy. What does brandy taste like, if anyone would like to enlighten me? I have oleander drink brandy. I felt like that's an oleander drink. Burning, probably. I feel like brandy is a very roguish archaeologist drink. Yeah, you know what? More stretchy. My bones are weird. I flew downstairs and returned with it, taking care to smell and taste it lest too were drugged like the decanter of sherry which I found on the table. The maids were still breathing, but more restlessly. I fancied that the narcotic was wearing off, and I did not stay to make sure, but returned to Van Helsing. He rubbed the brandy, as on another occasion, on her lips and gums, and on her wrists, and on the palms of her hands. He said to me, "I can do this. All that can be at the present. You go wake those maids, flick them in the face with a wet towel, and flick them hard. Make them get heat and fire in a warm bath. This poor soul is nearly as cold as that beside her. She'll need to be here before we can do anything more." I went at once and found little difficulty in waking 3 of the women. The 4th was only a young girl, and the drug had evidently affected her more strongly, so I lifted her on a sofa and let her sleep. They were dazed at first, but as remembrance came back to them, they cried and sobbed in a hysterical manner. I was stern with them, however, and would not let them talk. I told them that one life was bad enough to lose, and if they delayed they would sacrifice Miss Lucy. So sobbing and crying they went about their way, half clad as they were, and prepared fire and water. Fortunately the kitchen and boiler fires were still alive, and there was no lack of hot water. We got a bath and carried Lucy out as she was, and placed her in it. Whilst we were busy chafing her limbs, there was a knock at a hall door. One of the maids ran off, hurried on some more clothes and opened it. Then she returned and whispered to us that there was a gentleman who had come with a message from Mr. Holmwood. I bade her simply to tell him that he must wait, but we could see no one now. She went away with message, and engrossed with our work, I clean forgot all about him. I never saw in all my experience the professor work in such a deadly earnest. I knew, as he knew, it was a stand-up fight with death, and I paused, told him so. He answered me in a way that I did not understand, but the sternest look his face could wear. If that were all, I would stop here where we are now, let her fade away into peace. But I see no light in life over her horizon. He went on with his work with, if possible, renewed and more frenzied vigor. The quick and dirty is you take wine and distill it into brandy. Ooh. Presently, we both began to be conscious that heat was beginning to be of some effect. Lucy's heart beat a trifle more audibly to the stethoscope. Her lungs had perceptible movement. Van Helsing's face almost beamed, and as we lifted her from the bath and rolled her in a hot sheet to dry her, he said to me, "The first gain is ours. Check to the king." We took Lucy into another room, which had now been prepared, and laid her in bed, and forced a few drops of brandy down her throat. Noticed that Van Helsing
tied a soft silk handkerchief around her throat. She was still unconscious. It was quite as bad as, if not worse than, we had ever seen her. Van Helsing called in one of the women and told her to stay with her and not to take her eyes off her until we returned. Then beckoned me out of the room. "We must consult as to what is to be done," he said as we descended the stairs. In the hall he opened the dining room door and we passed in. He closing the door carefully behind him. The shutters had been opened, but the blinds were already down. With that obedience to etiquette of death which British women of the lower classes always rigidly observe. The room was therefore dimly dark. It was, however, light enough for our purposes. Van Helsing's sternness was somewhat relieved by a look of perplexity. He was evidently torturing his mind about something, so I waited for an instant, and he spoke. "What are we to do now? Where are we to turn to help? Must have another transfusion of blood, and that soon. That poor girl's life won't be worth an hour's purchase. You are exhausted already. I am exhausted too. I fear to trust those women, even if they would have the courage to submit. What are we to do for someone who will open his veins for her?" "What's the matter with me, anyhow?" The voice came from the sofa across the room, and its tones brought relief and joy to my heart. For they were those of Quincy Morris. Oh, I should have, Van Helsing started angrily at the first sound, but his face softened and a glad look came in his eyes as I cried out, "Quincy Morris!" As I cried out, "Quincy Morris!" rushed towards him with outstretched hands. "What brought you here?" I cried as our hands met. "I guess art is the cause." He handed me a telegram. "I have not heard from Seward for 3 days, and I am terribly anxious. Cannot leave. Father is still in the same condition. Send me word how Lucy is. Do not delay. Homeward." I think I came in just in the nick of time. You only have to tell me what to do. Van Helsing strode forward, took his hand, looking him straight in the eye, he said, "A brave man's blood is the best thing on earth when a woman is in trouble. You're a man, and no mistake. Well, the devil may work against us for all he's worth, but God sends us men when we want them." Why can't it be me? Sorry, I had to. Why can't I be sent men when I want them? Why can't it be me? It's a good thing they hadn't invented blood types yet. Once again, we went through that ghastly operation. I'm not the heart to go through with details. Lucy had got a horrible shock and it told on her more than before. There was plenty of blood went into her veins. Her body did not respond to the treatment as well as on the other occasions. Her struggle back to life was something frightful to see and hear. How the action of both heart and lungs improved. Van Helsing made a subcutaneous injection of morphia as before, and with good effect. Her faint became a profound slumber. The professor watched as I went downstairs with Quincy Morris, and sent one of the maids to pay off one of the cabmen who were waiting. Left Quincy lying down after having a glass of wine, and told the cook to have ready a good breakfast. Then a thought struck me. I went back to the room where Lucy now was. When I came softly in, I found Van Helsing with a sheet or two of notepaper in his hand. I evidently read it, was thinking over it as he sat with his hand to his brow. There's a look of grim satisfaction in his face, as of one who has had a doubt solved. He handed me the paper saying, only, dropped from Lucy's breast where we carried her to the bath. I read it. I stood looking at the professor, and after a pause asked him, "In God's name, what does it all mean? Was she, or is she mad? What sort of horrible danger is it?" I was so bewildered I did not know what to say more. Van Helsing put out his hand and took the paper, saying, "Do not trouble about it now. Forget it for the present. You shall know and understand it all in good time, but it will be later. And now, what is it that you came to me to say?" This brought me back to the fact, and I was all myself again. God sends us men when we want them. The philosophy of Vesper Fortune. I call upon men. Vesper Polly. Yes. 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 Desperately. Yes. I came to speak about the certificate of death. If we do not act properly and wisely, there may be an inquest. The paper would have to be produced. And in hopes that we need have no inquest, for if we had it, would surely kill poor Lucy, if nothing else. I know, and you know, and the other doctor who attended her knows, that Mrs. Westerner had disease of the heart, and certify that she died of it. Let's fill out the certificate at once, and I shall take it myself to the registrar and go on to the undertaker. Good, oh my friend John, well thought of, truly Miss Lucy. If she be sad in the foes that beset her, it's at least happy in the friends that love her. 1, 2, 3, I'll open her veins for you, besides what, old man. Ah, yes, I know, friend John, I am not blind. I love you all the more for it, now go. In the hall I met Quincy Morris with a telegram for Arthur telling him that Mrs. Westerno was dead, and Lucy has also been ill, but now is going on better, and that Van Helsing and I were with her. I told him where I was going, and that he hurried me out, but as I was going, said, "When you come back, Jack, I may have 2 words with you all to ourselves." Hold on, wait, let me repeat that. When you come back, Jack, may I have 2 words with you all to ourselves? I know in reply went out. I found no difficulty about the registration. I arranged with the local undertaker to come up in the evening to measure for the coffin and to make arrangements. When I got back, Quincy was waiting for me. Told I would see him as soon as I knew about Lucy. Went up to her room. She was still sleeping, and the professor seemingly had not moved from his seat at her side. Putting his fingers to his lips, I gathered that he expected her to wake before long and was afraid of forestalling nature. So I went down to Quincy and took him into the breakfast room, where the blinds were not drawn down, which were a little more cheerful, or rather less cheerless, than the other rooms. When we were alone, he said to me, "Jack Seward, I don't want to shove anything in anywhere where I've got no right to be. This is no ordinary case. You know I love that girl and wanted to marry her. Although that's all past and gone, I can't help but feeling anxious about her all the same. What is it that's wrong with her? The Dutchman. And a fine old fellow he is. I can see that," said. "That time you 2 came into the room, and you must have another transfusion of blood. That both you and he were exhausted. Now I know well that you medical men speak in camera, and that a man must not expect to know what they consult about in private. This is no common matter. Whatever it is, I have done my part. Is that not so?" "That's so," I said, and he went on. "I take it both you and Van Helsing had already done what I did today. Is that not so?" "That's so." "And I guess Art was in it too. When I saw him 4 days ago, at his own place, he looked queer. Not seen anything pulled down so quick since I was on the pampas and had a mare that I was so fond of go grass all in a night. And those big bats that they call vampires had got at her in the night. And what with his gorge and the vein left open, there wasn't enough blood in her to let her stand up. I had to put a bullet through her as she lay. Jack, if you may tell me without betraying confidence, Arthur was the first, is that not so?" As he spoke, the poor fellow looked terribly anxious. He was in a torturous suspense regarding the woman he loved. His utter ignorance of the terrible mystery which seemed to surround her intensified his pain. His very heart was bleeding, and it took all the manhood of him, and there was a royal lot of it too, to keep him from breaking down. I paused before answering, for I felt that I must not betray anything which the professor wished kept secret. But already he knew so much, and guessed so much, that there could be no reason for not answering, so I answered this same phrase. "That's so." "And how long has this been going on?" "About 10 days. 10 days? Then I guess, Jack Seward, that poor pretty creature that we all love has had put into her veins within the time of For the blood of 4 strong men. Man alive, her whole body wouldn't hold it. And coming close to me, he spoke in a fierce half-whisper. What took it out? I shook my head. That, I said, is the crux. Van Helsing is simply frantic about it, and I'm at my wit's end. Can't even hazard a guess. There's been a series of little circumstances that have thrown out all our calculations as to Lucy being properly watched. These shall not occur again. Here we stay until all be well or ill. Quincy held out his hand. Count me in, he said. You and the Dutchman will tell me what to do and I'll do it. If I went out before this is done, I'm going to be annoyed. It's one of those final boss projects. When she woke late in the afternoon, Lucy's first movement was to feel in her breast. To my surprise, produced the paper which Van Helsing had given me to read. The careful professor had replaced it where it had come from, lest on waking she should be alarmed. I then lit on Van Helsing and on me too, and gladdened. Then she looked around the room, and seeing where she was, shuddered. She gave a loud cry and put her poor thin hands before her pale face. We both understood what that meant, and she had realized to the full her mother's death. So we tried what we could do to comfort her. Doubtless sympathy eased her somewhat, but she was very low in thought and spirit, and wept silently and weakly for a long time. Told her that either or both of us would now remain with her all the time. That seemed to comfort her. Towards dusk, she fell into a doze. Here a very odd thing occurred. While still asleep, she took the paper from her breast and tore in two. Van Helsing stepped over and took the pieces from her. All the same, however, she went on with the action of tearing, as though the material were still in her hands. Finally, she lifted her hands and opened them as though scattering the fragments. Van Helsing seemed surprised, and his brows gathered as if in thought, but he said nothing. Yeah, mostly just, if I went out of this yawn, I had to resort to my proper fur yawn. And whoops. I don't know what happened there. And I have too many color choices. Oh, mood. Okay, when is... Okay, ads will be soon, but I will begin reading this. 19th of September. All last night she slept fitfully, being always afraid to sleep, and somewhat weaker when she woke from it. The professor and I took turns to watch, and we never left her for a moment unattended. Quincy Moore said nothing about his intention, but I knew that all night long he patrolled round and round the house. When the day came, its searching light showed the ravages in poor Lucy's strength. She was hardly able to turn her head. The little nourishment which she could take seemed to do her no good. At times she slept. Both Van Helsing and I noticed the difference in her between sleeping and waking. Whilst asleep, she looked stronger, although more haggard. Her breathing was softer. Her open mouth showed the pale gums drawn from the teeth, which thus looked positively longer and sharper than usual. When she woke, the softness of her eyes had evidently changed their expression, but she looked her own self, although a dying one. In the afternoon she asked for Arthur, and we telegraphed for him. Quincy went off to meet him at the station. We arrived at nearly 6 o'clock, and the sun was setting full and warm, and the red light streamed in through the window and gave more color to the pale cheeks. When we saw her, Arthur was simply choking with emotion. None of us could speak. An hour as had passed, and the fits of sleep, or the comatose condition that passed were, had grown more frequent, so that the pauses when the conversation was possible were shortened. Mother's presence, however, seemed to act as a stimulant. She rallied a little, and spoke to her more brightly than she had done since we had arrived. He too pulled himself together and spoke as cheerily as he could, so that the best was made of everything. It was now nearly 1 o'clock. and he and Van Helsing are staying with her. And to relieve them in a quarter of an hour, I am entering this on Lucy's phonograph. Till 6 o'clock they ought to try to rest. I fear that tomorrow will end our watching, for the shock has been too great. The poor child cannot rally. God help us all. I made the mistake of going outside. Face is frozen. Oh no. Treat yourself with tea and or cocoa or coffee if that's what you prefer. Or any other nice warm drink. It's been a bit since I had some cocoa. Maybe I should make myself some cocoa tomorrow. Wait, I can't be having myself cocoa. I gotta have tea tomorrow. I can have cocoa next Sunday. I can have cocoa next Sunday. Yeah, I got milk for cocoa. Nice. Cocoa hack for making microwave cocoa. When you are microwaving your liquid, pour like half the milk and like kind of like pour in half milk, half water. Or like 60-40. Because if you pour in some water, the milk won't boil over. That's my hack. If you like cut the milk with water, I haven't found like the perfect solution where you can still keep most of the richness of the milk. But if you cut through the milk with some water, it will keep the milk from boiling over and you won't have to check the microwave as much. You won't have to babysit the milk in the microwave. And that's like my cocoa hack. You can also do this with like any other thing that you can like make out of milk and or water. I'm not sure if like half and half or like 1% does the boil over thing in the microwave, but I know like whole milk does. I know whole milk will like totally boil over. Checking messages. Would brandy work? I'm not sure you should be putting any alcohol in the microwave to be real. Oh wait, brandy hot cocoa does kind of sound good though. I'll be right back. I gotta go get more water. Brickos out here about to tell us whether or not brandy is microwavable. Brickos about to tell us whether or not brandy can be put into the microwave. Ooh. Okay, anything on Discord? No, nothing on Discord. Book club. Okay. Many things can be microwaved. The question is, should they be microwaved? Just don't pull a Dax and explode the microwave. Everything can be microwaved. Some things only once. I did not know Daxon blew up their own microwave. That is interesting. I will ask that story next time I see Daxon. I kind of need to know now. I don't know if they blew out the microwave. I just know the microwave exploded. Ah, we don't know if there was a direct cause. This was a while ago. Ah. Brobat did try to microwave onions once, but we saw the microwave flashing and decided, oh, that can't happen, and took out the food. You cannot microwave onions because, there's minerals in onions. Well, you can't microwave, raw onions. An airbag would be the last thing you would microwave if you tried. You can't microwave onions, or well, if I'm not sure if if your onions are mineral rich, yeah, because like they have like mineral or vitamin or something in them that makes the microwave go flashy. It makes the microwave do unfortunate microwave things that you don't want the microwave to be doing. You can microwave cooked onions, you just can't microwave raw onions. I guess I never put a raw onion in the microwave. Yeah, hello, go, help me. You see, we learn here, even if it's entirely irrelevant to Dracula. Why are these things saying, can you... No, no, you can't... Wait... I remember... Oh no, I think... Oh no, I think AI has infiltrated cooking space, because I remember you're not allowed to microwave onions because, maybe it wasn't the onions. I put them in my mouth instead. Nom nom. I think I'd rather microwave an airbag. To be fair, I love my stuffed onions. I also love mushrooms. Give me onions and mushrooms. Like, slow cook. Slow cooked mushrooms or slow cooked onions caramelized and put on a burger. Why do these things say I can microwave onions? I don't trust like that. Because I remember Brobat putting onions into the microwave. And then the microwave flashing. Because I think he was cooking an egg. I'm trying to remember if it was the... No, because like I remember like looking up, can I cook onions? You would like phallic looking food, Vesper. Actually, I actually dislike bananas right now, cause I once had from a family reunion, one of my cousins, I think it was the one that I cannot name any of my cousins because that's doxing, but I have twin cousins. I think they're twins. I don't remember. I don't really like them. But the particularly annoying one, he made banana pudding, and I would like you all to know, banana pudding is not supposed to be drinkable. Banana pudding is not supposed to be drinkable. And thus, I kind of just had an intolerance towards bananas ever since. It's not that I don't like banana. It's that, if I eat a banana, I want to throw up. If I eat a banana, I want to throw up. Remember hearing that you can't microwave eggs, like whole, still-shelled eggs. I even saw a video where someone decided to debunk the myth that eggs survive the microwave, but when she tapped the shell with a spoon, it exploded and her expression was saying, so that wasn't a myth. Like, here's the thing, when you're from the South, which is where I'm from, I have let y'all know that, banana pudding is basically, at every single family gathering, there's always someone with the banana pudding. There's only certain people you should trust with the banana pudding, though. There's only certain people you should trust with the banana pudding. My cousin was not one of them. My cousin was not trustable with the banana pudding. And here's the thing. Banana pudding is really hard to fuck up. And my cousin did it. I'm intolerant to bananas. They give me horrible stomach aches. Yeah. So, like, it's not like, I hate bananas. It's more of, I'm like immediately given PTSD of the mouth. I immediately have mouth PTSD, and I just want to throw that shit up. I've never been like a very big fan of straight up banana. Like, yeah, I would love banana bread. I love banana bread. I like banana bread. I like that fake ass banana flavor based on the bananas that do not exist anymore. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be reading Dracula, aren't I? I'm supposed to be reading Dracula, aren't I? But I just wanted to say, I still sort of like banana. but like not my favorite thing. Much prefer apples, mangoes, um, apple, mango, grapes, frozen grapes, oh baby. Frozen grapes, oh baby. Uh, Frozen cherries too. Ooh. Letter, Mina Harker to Lucy Osterna. Unopened by her. 17th of September. My god, I love mangoes. Hands down my favorite food, right? Are they squishy? Or like firm? I think a good mango is supposed to be like semi-firm. Like, I like mango flavor, but I haven't had actual, like, mango. Because, like, the last time we got one, I kind of fucked it up. And you can't just go buying mangoes now. Those things are like $4. For one mango, we can buy 4 tomatoes. We don't just buy mango. My dearest Lucy, it's been an age since I heard from you. Or indeed... Oh, sorry. I don't know why I'm doing that more. It seems an age since I heard from you, or indeed since I wrote. You'll pardon me for... I know, for all my faults. When you have read all my budget of news. Well, I got my husband back alright. When we arrived at Exeter, there was a carriage waiting for us, and in it, though he had an attack of gout, Mr. Hawkins took us to his house, where there were rooms for all of us, nice and comfortable, and we dined together. After dinner, Mr. Hawkins said, "My dears, I want to drink to your health. I want to drink to your health and prosperity. May every blessing attend you both. I know you both from children, and have, with love and pride, seen you grow up. Now I want to make your home here with me. I have left to me neither chick nor child. All are gone. In my will, I have left you everything." I cried, Lucy dear, as Jonathan and the old man clasped hands. The evening was a very, very happy one. So here we are, installed in this beautiful old house. From both my bedroom and the drawing room, I can see the great elms of the cathedral close, with their great black stems standing out against the old yellow stone of the cathedral. I can hear the rooks overhead cawing and chattering and gossiping all day. After the manner of rooks and humans, I am busy, I need not tell you, arranging things and housekeeping. Jonathan and Mr. Hawkins are busy all day, but now that Jonathan is a partner, Mr. Hawkins wants to tell him all about the clients. "How is your dear mother getting on? Wish I could run up to town for a day or two to see you, dear, but I dare not go yet, with so much on my shoulders, and Jonathan wants looking after still. He's getting to put some flesh on his bones again, but he was terribly weakened by his long illness, and even now he sometimes starts out of his sleep in a sudden way that makes all trembling until I can coax him to go back to his usual placidity. I would thank God these occasions grow less frequent as the days go on. They will in time pass away altogether, I trust. Now I told you my news, let me ask yours. When are you to be married, and where? Who is to perform the ceremony? And what are you to wear? Is it to be a public or private wedding? Tell me all about it, dear. Tell me all about everything, for there is nothing which interests you which will not be dear to me. Jonathan asked me to send his respectful duty. I do not think that is good enough from the junior partner of the important firm Hawkins and Harker. And so, as you love me and he loves me, and I love you with all the moods and tenses of the verb, I send you simply his love instead. Goodbye, my dearest Lucy, and all blessings on you. Yours, Mina Harker. Oh, poor Mina, you don't know shit about what's going on. Port from Patrick Hennessy, MD, MRC, SLK, QCPI, etc., to John Seward, MD. It's like I have too many fucking titles, just deal Seward. My dear sir, in accordance with your wishes, I enclose a report of the conditions of everything left to my charge. With regard to patient Renfield, there is more to say. Another outbreak, which might have had a dreadful ending, which is, as it fortunately happened, was attended with any unhappy results. This afternoon, a carrier's car with 2 men made a call at the empty house, whose grounds about on ours, a house to which, you will remember, the patient twice ran away. Men stopped at a gate to ask the porter their way, as they were strangers. I was myself looking out of the study window, having a smoke after dinner, and saw one of them come up to the house. As he passed the window of Winfield's room, the patient began to rate him from within, and called him all the foul names he could lay his tongue to. The man, who seemed a decent fellow enough, contented himself by telling him to shut up for a foul-mouthed beggar. Whereon our man accused him of robbing him and wanting to murder him, and said that he would hinder him if he were to swing for it. I opened the window and signed to the man to not to notice. So he contented himself after looking the place over and making up his mind as to what kind of place he got by saying, "Lord bless ye, sir, I wouldn't mind what was said to me in a bloomin' madhouse. I pity ye and the governor for having to live in the house with a wild beast like that." Then he asked his way civilly enough, and told him where the gate of the empty house was. He went away, and followed by threats and curses and revilings from our man. I went down to see if I could make out any cause for his anger, since he is usually such a well-behaved man, except his violent fits. Nothing of the kind had ever occurred. I found him, to my astonishment, quite composed and most genial in his manner. I tried to get him to talk of the incident, but he blandly asked me questions as to why I meant, and led me to believe that he was completely oblivious of the affair. It was, I am sorry to say, however, only another instance of his cunning, for within a half hour I heard of him again. This time he had broken through the window of his room and was running down the avenue. I called to the attendants to follow me and ran after him, for I feared he was intent on some mischief. My fear was justified when I saw the same car which I had passed before coming down the road, having on it some great wooden boxes. The men were wiping their foreheads and were flushed in the face, as if with some violent exercise. Before I could get up to him, the patient rushed at them, pulling one of them off the cart, began to knock his head against the ground. If I had not seized him just at the moment, I believe he would have killed the man there and then. The other fellow jumped down and struck him over the head with the butt end of his heavy whip. It is a terrible blow, but he did not seem to mind it, but seized him also and struggled with the 3 of us, pulling us to and fro as if we were kittens. You know I am no lightweight, and the others were both burly men. At first he was silent in his fighting, but as we began to master him, the attendants were putting a straight waistcoat on him, and he began to shout, "I'll frustrate them. They shan't rob me. They shan't murder me by inches. I'll fight for my lord and master." All sorts of similar incoherent ravings. It was hardly considerable difficulty that they got him back to the house, put him in the padded room. One of the attendants, Hardy, had a finger broken. However, I said it all right, and he's going on well. The 2 carriers were at first loud in their threats of action for damages, promised to rain all the penalties of the law on us. The threats are, however, mingled with some sort of indirect apology for the defeat of 2 of them by a feeble madman. They said if it had not been for the way their strength had been spent in carrying and raising the heavy boxes to the cart, they would have made short work of him. They gave another reason for their defeat, the extraordinary state of drought to which they had been reduced by the dusty nature of their occupation. They were the reprehensible distance from the scene of their labors, of any place of public entertainment. I quite understood their drift, and after a stiff glass of grog, or rather more of the same, with each a sovereign in hand, they made light of the attack and swore they would encounter a worse man than any day for the pleasure of meeting so bloomin' a good folk as your correspondent. I took the names and addresses, in case they might be needed. They are as follows: Jack Smollett of Dudding's Rents, King George's Road, Great Walworth, and Thomas Snelling, Peter Follies Road, Guide Court, Bethnal Green. They are both in the employment of Harris and Sons Moving and Shipment Company, Orange Masters Yard, Soho. I shall report to you any matter of interest occurring here, and shall wire you at once if there is anything of importance. Believe me, dear sir, yours faithfully, Patrick Hennessy. Letter, Mina Harker to Lucy Westerna, unopened by Lucy. 18th of September. Hold on, let me drink. My dearest Lucy, such a sad blow has befallen upon us. Mr. Hawkins has died very suddenly. Some may not think it so sad for us, but we both had come to love him. But we both had come to so love him that it really seems as though we had lost a father. I never knew either mother or father, so that the dear old man's death is a real blow to me. Jonathan is greatly distressed. It is not only that he feels sorrow, deep sorrow, for the dear, good man who has befriended him all his life, and now at the end has treated him like his own son and left him a fortune, which to people of our modest bringing up is wealth beyond the dream of avarice. But Jonathan feels it on another account. He says the amount of responsibility which it puts upon him makes him nervous. He begins to doubt himself. I try to cheer him up, and my belief in him helps him to have a belief in himself. But it is here that the grave shock that he experienced tells upon him the most. Oh, it is too hard that a sweet, simple, noble, strong nature such as his, a nature which enabled him, by our dear good friend's aid, to rise from clerk to master in a few years, should be so injured that the very essence of its strength is gone. Forgive me, my dear, if I worry you so with my troubles in the midst of your own happiness. But Lucy, dear, I must tell someone, for the strain of keeping up a brave, cheerful appearance to Jonathan tries me, that no one here I can confide in. I dread coming up to London, as we must do the day after tomorrow, for poor Mr. Hawkins left in his will is to be buried in a grave with his father. As there are no relations at all, Jonathan will have to be chief mourner. I shall try to run over to see you, dearest, if only for a few minutes. Forgive me for troubling you. With all blessings, your loving, Mina Harker. Oh, Mina, Mina, Mina. Dear Mina, things are fucked. Dear Mina, I'm dead. Dr. Seward's Diary, 20th of September. Only resolution and habit can let me make an entry tonight. I am too miserable, too low-spirited, too sick of the world and all in it, including life itself, that I would not care if I had heard this moment the flapping of the wings of the angel of death. He has been flapping those grim wings to some purpose of late. Lucy's mother and Arthur's father, and now... Let me get on with my work. Okay, first off, Dracula is killing everyone's parents. Dracula out here killing everyone's parents. I duly relieved Van Helsing in his watch over Lucy. We wanted Arthur to go rest also, but he refused at first. It was only when I told him that we should want him to help us during the day, and we must not all break down for want of rest, lest Lucy should suffer. He agreed to go. Van Helsing was very kind to him. Come, my child, he said. Come with me. You are sick and weak, and have had much sorrow and much mental pain, as well as that tax on your strength that we know of. You must not be alone, but to be alone is to be full of fears and alarms. Come to the drawing room, where there is a big fire and there are 2 sofas. You shall lie on one, and I on the other. Our sympathy will be to comfort each other, even though we do not speak, and even if we sleep. Arthur went off to it with him, casting a longing look on Lucy's face, which lay in her pillow, almost wider than the lawn. She lay quite still, and I looked around the room to see that all was as it should be. Could see that the professor had carried out in this room, as in the other, the purpose of using the garlic. The whole of the window sashes reeked with it, and around Lucy's neck, over the silk handkerchief, which Van Helsing made her keep on, was a rough chaplet of the same odorous flowers. Lucy was breathing somewhat stertorously. Her face was at its worst. The open mouth showed pale gums. Her teeth, in the dim, uncertain light, seemed longer and sharper than they had been in the morning. In particular, by some trick of the light, the canine teeth looked longer and sharper than the rest. I sat down by her, and presently she moved uneasily. At the same moment came a sort of dull flapping, or buffeting at the window. Went over to it softly and peeped out the corner of the blind. There was a full moonlight, and I could see that the noise was made by a great bat which wheeled around, doubtless attracted by the light. Oh, so dim. Every now and again struck the window with its wings. I came back to my seat. I found Lucy had moved slightly, and torn away the garlic flowers from her throat. I replaced them as well as I could and sat watching her. You know, Rebecca Thompson could do well here. She and MC would make short work of this chaos. MC would be like, it's a vampire. It's a vampire. So what do we do? Yeah, we just killed a vampire. It's that simple. Murder is the solution. Or as MC would say, murder is the solution. Presently she woke, and I gave her food, as Van Helsing had prescribed. She took but a little, and that languidly. There did not seem to be with her now the unconscious struggle for life and strength that had hitherto so marked her illness. It struck me as curious that the moment she became conscious, she pressed the garlic flowers close to her. It was certainly odd that whenever she got close to that lethargic state, the stertorous breathing, she put the flowers from her, but that when she waked, she clutched them close. There's no possibility of making any mistake about this, for in the long hours that followed, she had many spells of sleeping and waking, repeated both actions many times. When polyamory fails, go for murder. Yep. There's 2 things that will solve everything. Polyamory and murder. Whatever one doesn't solve, the other does. At 6 o'clock, Van Helsing came to relieve me. Arthur had fallen into a doze. He mercifully let him sleep on. When he saw Lucy's face, I could hear the hissing indraw of his breath. Then he said to me in a sharp whisper, "Drop the blind, I want light." Then he bent down, with his face almost touching Lucy's, examined her carefully. He removed the flowers and lifted the silk handkerchief from her throat. As he did so, he started back! As he did so, he started back. Oh my god. Oh, it's late. I'm sleepy. Words are hard. As he did so, he started back, and I could hear his exclamation, "Mein Gott!" As it was smothered in his throat. I bent over and looked too, and as I noticed, some queer chill came over me. The wounds on the throat had absolutely disappeared. For fully 5 minutes, Van Helsing stood looking at her, with his face at its sternest. Then he turned to me and said calmly, "She's dying." and it will not be long now. There's much difference, mark me, whether she dies conscious or in her sleep. Wake that poor boy. Let him come see the last. He trusts us, and we have promised him. I went to the dining room and waked him. He was dazed for a moment, but when he saw the sunlight streaming in through the edges of the shutters, he thought he was late and expressed his fear. I assured him that Lucy was still asleep, but I told him as gently as I could that both Van Helsing and I feared the end was near. He covered his face with his hands and slid down on his knees by the sofa, where he remained perhaps a minute, his head buried, praying, whilst his shoulders shook with grief. I took him by the hand and raised him up. Come, I said. My dear old fellow, summon all your fortitude. It will be the best and easiest for her. When we came into Lucy's room, we see that Van Helsing had, with his usual forethought, been putting matters straight and making everything look pleasing as possible. He even brushed Lucy's hair, so it lay in the pillow in its usual sunny ripples. When he came into the room, he opened her eyes, and seeing him, whispered softly. When we came into the room, she opened her eyes. Okay. When we came into the room, she opened her eyes, and seeing him, whispered softly. Arthur, oh my love, I'm so glad you have come. He was stooping to kiss her, when Van Helsing motioned him back. No, he said. No, he whispered. Not yet. Hold her hand. We'll comfort her more. So Arthur took her hand and knelt beside her, and she looked her best, all the soft lines matching the angelic beauty of her eyes. And gradually her eyes closed, and she sank to sleep. For a little bit her breast heaved softly, and her breath came and went like a tired child's. Then insensibly there came this strange change which I had noticed in the night. Her breathing grew stertorous, the mouth opened, and the pale gums drawn back made the teeth look longer and sharper than ever. In a sort of sleepwalking, vague, unconscious way she opened her eyes, which were now dull and hard at once, and said in a soft, voluptuous voice, such as I had never heard from her lips. Arthur, oh, my love, I am so glad you have come. Kiss me. Arthur bent eagerly over to kiss her, but at that instant Van Helsing, who, like me, had been stilled by her voice, swooped upon him, catching him by the neck with both hands, dragged him back with a furious strength which I never thought he could have possessed, actually hurled him across the room. Tuning into Vesper Radio on the drive home. Aw, thank you. So she remembers the bigger teeth. So she remembers the bigger teeth. Then I guess it's thanks for the memories. I'll show myself to the pungent. Please do. Too pungent. Thanks for the memories. Not for your life, he said. Not for your living soul and hers. He stood between them like a lion at bay. Arthur was so taken aback that he did not for a moment know what to do or say. For any impulsive violence could seize him, he realized the place and the occasion and stood silent, waiting. Kept my eyes fixed on Lucy, as did Van Helsing, and we saw a spasm of rage flit like a shadow over her face. The sharp teeth champed together, then her eyes closed, and she breathed heavily. Very shortly after, she opened her eyes in all their softness, putting out her poor, pale, thin hand, took Van Helsing's great brown one. Drawing it to her, she kissed it. My true friend, she said in a faint voice, but with untellable pathos. My true friend and his. Oh, guard him. Give me peace. Oh, hold on. My true friend and his. Oh, guard him and give me peace. I swear it, he said solemnly, kneeling beside her and holding up his hand, as one who registers an oath. Then he turned to Arthur and said to him, Come, my child, take her hand in yours and kiss her forehead, and only once. Their eyes met instead of their lips, so they parted. Lucy's eyes closed, and Van Helsing, who had been watching closely, took Arthur's arm and drew him away. Then Lucy's breathing became stertorous again, and all at once it ceased. "It is all over," said Van Helsing.
She is dead.
I took Arthur by the arm and led him away to the drawing room, where he sat down, covered his face with his hands, sobbing in a way that nearly broke me down to see. I went back to the room and found Van Helsing looking at poor Lucy. His face was sterner than ever. Some change had come over her body. Death had given back part of her beauty, for her brow and cheeks had recovered some of their flowing lines. Even their lips had lost their deadly pallor. It was as if the blood, no longer needed for the working of the heart, had gone to make the harshness of death as little rude as it might be. We thought her dying while she slept, sleeping when she died. I stood beside Van Helsing and said, "Ah, well, poor girl. There is peace for her at last. It is the end." He turned to me and said with grave solemnity, "Not so, alas, not so. It is only the beginning." I asked him what he meant. He only shook his head and answered, "We can do nothing yet. Wait and see." And that was chapter 12. And we've gotten through our 2 hours. My bad. Gotten through our 2 hours. And let's see. I will put myself at chapter 13. For next time. Yeah, close the window. So is everyone enjoying Dracula? We are now experiencing the vampirization of Lucy. Lucy is now full-on vampire. Unfortunate that is such a long and awful process. Very unfortunate that it's a long and awful process, and a very harsh one, I might add. I guess Dracula's there to make sure, you know, Girly Pop don't die. We're awake. At least Dracula was there making sure, like, Lucy wasn't dead. You know, cause, like, you know, well, I guess, like, someone has to live after, you know, he's killed every single parent. What is Dracula's end goal? That is the question. What is Dracula's end goal? Is he looking to, like, have everyone be a vampire? That doesn't seem like the goal. Although, Lucy has technically pulled 4 men. Lucy has Quincy, Dr. Seward, and her husband Arthur, and she's pulled Dracula. Girly Pop is just gotcha pulling all the men. I'm so jealous. Girly Pop getting all the men. Jack's end goal is to vampire, because monster's gonna monster. Like, I know Dracula is the first vampire, but what is his end goal? What is the villainy here? He moves to London. He turns Lucy into a vampire. What is next? What is next? What is the end goal, my man? It's kind of interesting because, like, this type of epistolic storytelling kind of leads a lot, not like a lot to be wanted, but lets you like theorize. Like, okay, well, we know Dracula's a vampire, and he's turned Lucy into a vampire. But he's also, I almost say Dracula is the cause of all the parents' deaths. But I'm pretty sure, we know he's the cause of, Lucy's mom's death. And, he killed, Mr. Hawkins. He wants to join the British Army, invade a coastal country, and exploit resources. I mean, didn't Britain already do that? I think Dracula is the cause of everyone's problems, so he's capitalism. I feel like he is kind of doing shit that makes people want to owe him, but he's going about it in the most awful way. It's like everyone's getting their wills. Like everyone's parents are dying, thus the wills are happening. Because Arthur's dad is dead. Lucy's mom is dead. Hawkins died, who was kind of this foster father to Harker and Mina. This took place in what, early 1800s? That was like peak British assettery. Yeah, but we have to remember Dracula is from Romania, and thus I think he's also very heavily meant to be Romani. He's at least meant to be Eastern European. Thus, he's not supposed to have British asshattery. He really likes British asshattery, though. So I don't know. He's like an otaku, but for British culture. My man is an otaku, but for British culture. Okay, let me see who is... I'm sure he can invade Cyprus or something close enough. Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering. I'm so glad I have tomorrow off. Yeah, tomorrow is MLK Day, right? I'm so zoned out tonight. Aw. Don't worry, the VOD will be up tomorrow. Well, that means I have to deal with nieces tomorrow myself. Let's see, well, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be sleeping in or not. Parents have decided to get up later for Saturdays and Sundays. Which has thrown me off because I'm expecting to get like in 2 extra hours of bullshit. Which I'm now not getting. But, who knew that Dracula, one of the most popular monsters in all of fiction, feared by many, and consistently one of the most influential villains ever, is a fucking nerd? Oh my god, he is... Is there like a word for a British weeaboo? Is there a word for like... What is like a yank? He is a British weeaboo. No, the extra bullshit hours, right? But also because the parents are... Because of the heater and like how I have to keep my door open at night for heating, I'm now getting up at 6-ish, 7-ish. I guess I could incorporate extra bullshit hours that way. Bloody wanker is what you're looking for. Thank you. Shit. I'm sorry. The tired. I had chalky milk and little Debbie cake earlier, so I think the sugar crash is about to hit. But thank you all for joining me tonight. I had fun. It's really fun actually reading Dracula. It's really fun to see how this story was told. And honestly, I like to see more stories told in this very epistolic, we're surrounding the main villain type of deal. The main villain is also the main character. I kind of like that. I kind of like this. But, I kind of want, let's see here. You know what? It is the end of the stream. So I'm just gonna let y'all choose who you want to go to tonight. If you want to go see someone, if you just want to rest and relax, that's what the stream is for. So like, I will continue the vibe. Let's try a story of the villain being the main character, and you don't know they are the villain until the end. Ooh, I think, but I just gave it away. That's kind of the vibes. I forgot. The Library of Torterra. The Library of Torterra, I think. I don't like... Okay, before I end the stream, I kind of don't like, I think it's Library of Torterra. I have to, like, see if I'm getting it right. Okay, library anime, please help me. None of these are what I wanted. Anime Planet did not help me. Is it Bantora? It might be Bantora. Oh, it's the Book of Bantora? It is... Oh yeah, that's it. That's it. The Book of Bantora. I hate this bitch. Dad grabbed me to watch some football with him, so I almost missed the end of stream. Aww. That's life. That's what people say. Don't worry, I will be the vlog will be up at the usual time around 8 p.m. Also update, 4 inches left to cover, and I have to resort to picking some furry on. No! No! But, okay. Before I go, I watched a few years back the Book of Bantora. And so, like, it's kind of similar to what Silver's talking about, except the main character is not the villain. It's just a surprise that she acts very villainous, though. What she's doing is kept secret. And it's secret what she's doing until the very end. And she's, like, apparently keeping a whole bunch of people in, like, this afterlife cube for, like, her fight against the true villains. Here's the thing, though. She's completely despicable, and I hate her. Like, they're trying to portray her as this really cunty-esque, lady. And I don't know why. I just do not mesh with her. And I just hate her as a character. I think it's because, Book of Bantora kind of like does this thing where they flip POVs a lot. And like, most of the POVs are not good on her. Or like, I like the other characters more than her. And like, I just feel there's a lot of wasted character potential because these characters had to die because this bitch needed them for her afterlife cube thing. She's completely despicable and I hate her. Vesper 7-word essay of Marianne. But and like I want to like Book of Bantora more. I want to suggest it, but I fucking hate the actual main character who is, I think her name's Hamza. That's another thing too. Her name's Hamza. Her name's Ham. I mean, her name's not Ham, but it can be shortened to Ham, and I'm just like, you're supposed to be this cunty bitch, yet your name can be shortened to Ham. Who are you, Miss Piggy? Hammy. I think she's actually called Hammy. I think some characters actually call her Hammy as a nickname. And I'm just like, why don't I like you? You have so much there, but I hate you. Okay, now I'm imagining Miss P as a vampire. Is there not Muppets do Dracula? Have the Muppets not covered Dracula yet? If not, oh, Kermie. Explains why Kermit's so afraid of her. Oh, Kermie. No. But like, Book of Andorra, I just want it to be better, but it suffers so much because I hate the bitch that's the main character. Ugh. But ooh. Like, if I remember, it's one of those things where like, oh my god, the plot is so good, like, cause like, spoilers, but I'm not sure if y'all will want to watch Book of Bantor after like I've been talking about the main character, but spoilers, I guess. The main thing that's been happening is that the villains have been working together with the with the main political societal like source, the main like upkeepers of society. The villains and the main keepers of society have been working together for like centuries at this point, I'm not sure, and have basically had this like secret agreement for years, and they've basically been keeping up this fucking farce for like centuries. And because of that, like, the world's been so fucked up because the good guys and the bad guys have always been one and the same. The villains are working with the political powers that be. In other news, water is wet and fire is hot. Exactly. Grass is green, water is wet, fire is hot. A cab. And like, that's another thing. It makes me want to like her more because it's a very on topic kind of thing. But she's just a she's just awful. I don't know why I don't like her. It's like I think it's mostly because like other characters have to die for her plan. It's just like, no, stop that. You don't do that. That's awful. Sheriff from Deadline, but only more stupid. More culty. I don't remember what exactly the villains were doing. I think the villains wanted to go into the library of Bantor because Bantor is one of those libraries where everyone's book of life is held type of deal. And that's what the people are protecting. The main characters are librarians who protect the books of Bantora. The villain's evil scheme is to organize a bake sale. Yeah, like Book of Bantora is it's just so much good shit. But you know what? I'm gonna write my own fic. I'm gonna write my own book, and I'm going to rewrite all this shit. Hold up. Now that I'm thinking about it, hold up. Let me fix everything. Let me fix everything I hate. From the cauldron of Dan, I can conjured forth caramel corn. You wanna know something that's really funny? Caramel corn is actually top tier raid food right now. In FF14, caramel corn is top tier raid food. So it has been 3 hours. I'm not gonna send y'all off to anyone. I'm just gonna let everyone choose to go somewhere if they want to. Y'all know who I know who everyone likes and dislikes. I've seen y'all in other places. I know where y'all live. No, you haven't. Yes, I have. No, you don't. Yes, I do. I've seen where you visit too, Vesper. I mean, we're both going to the same bar, Bracos. It's not that difficult. I live here. Librarians are not to be trifled with. Librarians smell like books and can smell fear. Do not approach the librarians. Do not make physical contact with librarians. Do not. They're still a great stream, thank you. A good night, good fortune. See y'all tomorrow for Hollow Knight, I think. Hollow Knight or Cult of the Lamb. I still haven't done my grinding in Persona 4. I still haven't done my grinding in Persona 4. So, Hollow Knight, Cult of the Lamb, or something else. A good night, good fortune. See you when I see you. Bye. Bye.